first immediate thought when you saw Yale and you saw you guys heading to Washington?
Well, they've been talking about us being out in Spokane a lot, for some reason. Maybe that's because that's where the fours are. We were hoping that an SEC tournament championship and wherever we are in the net, maybe we're a 5 or so in the net, would get us to the 3 line. But it obviously didn't. So are we paying the price for being in Birmingham last year and getting an incredible opportunity against Houston, the 1 seed, perhaps? So it's a long way to travel for our fans. And we've been in this, for a few times now. And, we got San Diego. We got, Salt Lake City. And yes, we did get Birmingham, but we also now got Spokane. So this is 3 times now they've shipped us quite a ways away from our fans. What jumps out at you, obviously, Yale, an Ivy League team. We did play them at our place a couple of years ago, so they'll know how we're going to guard them. Same coaching staff and different personnel. They got a 7-foot Israeli who's a terrific player, and obviously they want a very competitive Ivy League with Princeton, and a little bit of an upset to not have Princeton come out of the Ivy League. So they're playing really well at this time of the year. On the other side of the bracket is UAB and San Diego State. San Diego State team that got to the Final Four a year ago. Interesting that Chad Baker-Mazara also played at San Diego State. So that's not going to be easy, certainly. And then, if UConn holds serve, and you would anticipate they will, it would be the Sweet 16 would be UConn. And of course, Illinois, Iowa State, Auburn are the top 4 seeds. So I think it's a tough bracket. I think our road is difficult. But the last time we got to the Final Four, we had a difficult road.
If you get there, the second weekend would be back home for you. Kind of, have you thought about that at all?
I mean, you think about it as far as family and travel, in a sense that, not everybody can afford to get out to Spokane. My family, the players' families, and all that, goes with it. I think that's something that is difficult. Again, we were grateful for Birmingham a year ago, but this is now the 3rd time we're getting shipped across the country. And you always wonder how much this thing is seeded before the Sunday final. And we talk about it all the time. We talk about it in our league meetings. And so listen, we're grateful to be in the tournament. And we're grateful to have, won a championship in the SEC, and especially in a year when the league is so very, very competitive. And the road to the Final Four is difficult for everybody.
What's it going to take for this team to go the distance in this tournament?
What's that now?
What is it going to take for this team to go the distance in this tournament?
Well, we got to keep guarding and playing with the kind of effort and energy that we guard. None of them, they're all going to be difficult. Obviously, I know a little bit more about UAB, and I've watched San Diego State from a year ago. I'd say that's a tough one. Got to get past Yale first, and they're going to shoot it, and they're going to spread it, and they're going to play the right way. They're going to be really well coached. So again, it's the toughest tournament in the league. Tougher tournament is the one you're in.
If there is a chance that you guys do end up with UAB, Coach Kennedy obviously coached against him for years when he was in the conference. What are his teams made of, and why do you feel like that's a team that was even able to get to the conference tournament, the NCAA tournament?
Well, I've not watched them this year. We played Andy on a couple of preseason scrimmages. So when he was at UAB, and so there's some familiarity for sure in that matchup if both teams are able to advance. So we again, what we'll do is we'll prepare for Yale and San Diego State and UAB, and our coaching staff will split those scouts up, and the only way to advance is to win 2 games, and we got to play 2 out of those 3 teams.
How does the SEC tournament that you just went through and won prepare you for what you're about to go up against?
Well, we beat 2 NCAA tournament teams in South Carolina and Florida. And I would anticipate that both those teams are going to be able to advance in tournament play. So we won our last 3 regular season games. We won 3 games in a tournament. We won our last 6 games, and we're playing well, and we're playing together. And so we're just excited about playing for national championship. I've always told my teams, don't think you got to get to the last game to play for the national championship. We're playing for the national championship when we play Yale. We're in the field of 68, and you can't win it if you're not in it.
There's a couple kids on this team that are going to the big dance for the first time. Just to have them experience this moment, I mean, it's really cool for them in a way.
It is, and obviously, you want this championship. I told the guys, really last night, I said, look, I've got a few rings. I want this for you guys, okay? And you know what? There are intrinsic rewards, those things that are internal. They matter more. But every now and then, an extrinsic reward, that big fat ring, that big championship, the net, it does. And they're kids, and they wanted it. And they played like it all weekend long. And they trusted each other. They trusted the process. And to be SEC champions in a year like this is a great accomplishment. But I told them after the game, I said, if you think the attention that we're getting right now is big in the SEC tournament, just wait to the NCAA tournament. And if we have a chance to advance, it's a multiplier.
You played some intimidating buildings throughout the year in the SEC, but the proposition of down the road maybe having to play UConn in the Boston Garden, is that something you even thought about yet?
No, not even thinking about it. We got Yale in Spokane, and if we can beat that one, we got the winner of San Diego State and UAB.
Bruce, I guess talk about preparation a little bit. I think you're Friday, Sunday. Is that what it's going to be? How
Yeah, I'm glad it's at least Friday with the travel.
Yeah.
We're trying to. I'd like to leave Tuesday after practice if we can, just because it's such a long trip. Kind of get in Tuesday night and get acclimated to the time changes and things along those lines. But we're waiting to hear from the NCAA when they're going to send us out west.
Does tomorrow's birthday festivities include game preparation for you?
No. It's when you get to 64, you don't worry about them. There are too many candles to put in the cake. So we will work and we'll celebrate. Lots of other things to celebrate.
Bruce, I know you were pleased with the way this team prepared and scouted all season, but I guess how pleased were you with now in a tournament setting the way they did that this week in the SEC tournament?
Well, my staff is incredible. I've got the best staff in college basketball. It worked out pretty well where I have 3 teams of scouts, and Stephen Pearl's team had the very first game against South Carolina, did a phenomenal job. And then Chad Pruitt, Corey Williams, their team had Mississippi State. And then Ira Bowman and Mike Burgermaster and that team had Florida. And those guys take great pride in their prep. And the first thing they got to do is before they prep the team, they got to prep me. And so on short prep, we've got some stuff in the bag now. We got some stuff in the can, and we're able to pull some stuff out. And I thought the kids were really businesslike. I mentioned in my press conference after the game, I told the guys, I said, with a noon start against Mississippi State, we had an 8 o'clock breakfast, and I said, I felt a little rushed on Saturday morning. I said, I don't know how you guys feel, but I could use about another extra half hour, 45 minutes. And they said, Coach, let's meet at 7:15. So the players wanted to get up earlier, and they wanted to meet earlier, and we did, and they were very businesslike in their approach.
You talked about how this team is really good at taking on scouting reports and then playing game by game. What is it about this team, in your opinion, that's made them so good at being scouting report focused?
Well, I think you've got to be versatile enough to be able to play against what teams bring you. I mean, Mississippi State or South Carolina, Florida don't guard you the same way, and Mississippi State plays a little 1-3-1. Some teams press, and then as it relates to how we guard based on what they do. It's not one size fits all. So it's a different game plan. Obviously, the kids will gain confidence when you understand what an opponent's personnel is all about. And the terminology is the same, but the game plan is always different.
Turns out Alabama's actually also
going to be at the same site, so it's UAB, and Bama all there. Is that kind of, what about this kind of all the Alabama?
I mean, Alabama, UAB, and Auburn in Spokane, Washington. Enough said.
Greg Byrne didn't do you any favors?
No comment.
Thanks.
I think we're gonna